Morning arrives, not with peace, but with pressure. A silent storm lives inside your chest, the kind that doesn't scream but suffocates. You see yourself in the mirror and ask the question no one hears. Why does abundance flow to others while I am left with nothing but effort and emptiness? You've prayed to the skies, pleaded into the night, but your words feel like stones dropped in a bottomless well, and you're tired of reaching, tired of never arriving. But what if I told you that the problem was never your worthiness? What if the issue was simply that you have been using prayer like a desperate child asking for candy instead of a divine being claiming what already belongs to you? For years I kept a secret, a prayer so powerful that I hesitated to share it with the world. I discovered what I called the soul's magnetic code, a specific way of speaking to the infinite that bypasses every doubt, every fear, every limiting belief that has kept you small. This is not about asking for miracles. This is about awakening the miracle that you already are. When you learn to pray with certainty instead of desperation, when you understand that fear is simply faith pointed in the wrong direction, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your presence transforms. You stop being someone who begs for blessings and become someone who naturally attracts them. I am about to share with you the exact prayer that must be repeated for 36 seconds, spoken with living faith, and kept secret for 7 days. This is not motivational theory. This is a spiritual technology that will reprogram your soul to receive what the universe has been waiting to give you. You will declare your true nature as divine light connected to the loving heart of the Most High God. You will activate what I call the frequency of active faith. And you will discover that when you align with this truth, you do not just change your inner world. You transform everything around you. If you are ready to stop praying like a beggar and start claiming your inheritance as a divine being, then you need to see this video in its entirety. Subscribe right now, because this knowledge will shift your entire relationship with faith, abundance, and your own power. This is your moment to step into who you were always meant to be. Number 1. The secret prayer and the soul's magnetic code. You have been praying wrong your entire life. Every night you fold your hands and whisper the same desperate words into the darkness, hoping that somehow this time the universe will finally hear you. You beg for money. You plead for love. You ask for health, for peace, for just one break in the endless cycle of struggle that has become your existence. Yet morning after morning you wake up to the same reality, the same problems, the same crushing weight of unfulfilled dreams pressing down on your chest. What if I told you that prayer was never meant to be begging? What if the very act of asking from a place of need was actually repelling the very things you desire most? For years, I carried a secret so powerful that I hesitated to release it into the world. Not because I doubted its truth, but because I understood the awesome responsibility that comes with wielding spiritual forces beyond ordinary comprehension. This secret is what I came to call the soul's magnetic code, a specific arrangement of words, intention, and spiritual frequency that transforms prayer from desperate pleading into divine commanding. The magnetic code is not a prayer in the traditional sense. It is a spiritual technology, a precise formula that activates dormant forces within your consciousness and aligns your entire being with the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. When spoken correctly, with the right duration and sacred intention, it becomes a magnet that draws to you not what you need, but what you are ready to receive. Imagine your soul as a vast radio transmitter, capable of broadcasting on frequencies that connect directly to the cosmic storehouse of infinite abundance. For most of your life, you have been broadcasting on the frequency of lack, fear, and desperation. Your prayers have been distress signals, emergency calls sent out from a consciousness drowning in limitation, but the magnetic code changes everything. It tunes your soul to the frequency of divine reception, where abundance flows not because you deserve it, but because you have aligned yourself with the natural order of the universe. I discovered this truth through decades of studying the few individuals who seem to live in a constant state of miraculous manifestation. These were not the loudest preachers or the most publicly religious people. They were the quiet ones, the ones who possessed a secret confidence, an unshakable knowing that the universe was conspiring in their favor. When I finally gained their trust and learned their methods, I realized they all shared one common practice. They all knew how to pray with the soul's magnetic code. The power lies not just in the words, but in the precise duration. Exactly 36 seconds, not 35, not 37. 36 seconds of focused, intentional connection with the infinite. I spent years testing this timing, measuring its effects on the subconscious mind, and I discovered something remarkable. 36 seconds is the exact amount of time required to bypass the rational, doubting mind and plant seeds of faith directly into the fertile soil of your subconscious. Your rational mind is a fortress built to protect you from disappointment. It analyzes every hope, scrutinizes every desire, and builds walls of logic around your dreams to keep them safely contained where they cannot hurt you. But faith cannot be reasoned into existence. Faith must be felt, experienced, lived. And 36 seconds is precisely long enough to slip past those mental guards and awaken the part of you that knows, without question, that miracles are not extraordinary events but natural expressions of a universe designed for your success. But here is where most people fail, where they fumble the very power they seek to wield. They cannot keep the secret. The moment they experience even the slightest shift, the smallest sign that something is working, they rush to tell someone. They share it with friends, post it on social media, whisper it to family members. And in that moment of sharing, they scatter the very energy they have been concentrating. Sacred power requires sacred silence. For 7 days, this practice must be yours alone. Not because the universe is petty or jealous, but because spiritual forces operate according to precise laws, just as physical forces do. When you speak about your most intimate spiritual work, you release the concentrated energy before it has had time to crystallize into manifestation. You are like a photographer opening the darkroom door before the image has fully developed, flooding the delicate process with light that destroys rather than reveals. Think of a seed planted in dark soil. It requires complete darkness, perfect stillness, absolute protection to send down roots and gather the strength to break through into the light. Your prayer, spoken with the magnetic code, is that seed. The 7 days of silence are the darkness it requires to transform from intention into reality. During those 7 days, something profound happens within you. The daily repetition of 36 seconds begins to rewire not just your thoughts, but your spiritual DNA. Each day, the magnetic field around your consciousness grows stronger. Each day, your soul becomes more receptive to divine transmission. Each day, you step further away from the begging, desperate person you once were and closer to the magnetically powerful being you were always meant to become. The magnetic code does not work because it tricks God into giving you what you want. It works because it awakens you to what you truly are. You are not a separate, struggling individual hoping for cosmic charity. You are a focal point of infinite intelligence, temporarily housed in physical form but connected to the same creative force that spins galaxies and orchestrates the intricate dance of every atom in existence. When you align with this truth, when you speak from this understanding, your prayers become less like requests and more like reminders. You are not asking the universe to change its mind about you. You are announcing that you have finally remembered who you are and what you came here to accomplish. You are declaring your readiness to receive what has been waiting for you all along. This is why the magnetic code must be guarded, protected, held in sacred secrecy for those first crucial 7 days. Not because it is fragile, but because you are. You are still shedding the old identity, still transforming from someone who hopes to someone who knows. And transformation requires protection, silence, and the unwavering commitment to honor what is sacred by keeping it sacred. Tomorrow you will wake up with a choice. You can continue praying the way you always have, sending the same signals of lack and need into the universe, or you can begin the process of activating your soul's magnetic code. You can remain forever in the role of the spiritual beggar, or you can step into your inheritance as a divine being temporarily wearing human clothing. The power has always been within you. The magnetic code simply teaches you how to use it. Number 2, the difference between asking and declaring. Listen to yourself pray tonight. Really listen to the words that come out of your mouth, the tone in your voice, the energy behind your requests. Do you hear it? That desperate edge, that pleading quality that makes you sound like a child begging for permission? That trembling uncertainty that announces to the universe that you do not believe you deserve what you are asking for? You have been trained to approach the infinite like a peasant approaching a king, hat in hand, eyes downcast, grateful for whatever scraps might fall from the royal table. But what if I told you that you are not the peasant in this story? What if you discovered that you have been the forgotten heir to a kingdom, raised in poverty not because you were unwanted, but because you simply forgot who you were? Most people pray from lack, they pray from fear. They approach the divine as beggars approaching charity, armed with lists of everything they do not have, everything they cannot achieve, everything that seems forever beyond their reach. Their prayers are unconscious confessions of powerlessness, detailed inventories of limitation that serve only to reinforce the very conditions they claim they want to escape. But there is another way, a way that transforms prayer from begging into commanding, from hoping into knowing, from asking into declaring. This is the difference between spiritual poverty and spiritual sovereignty. This is the difference between living as a victim of circumstances and living as a conscious co-creator of reality. When you declare instead of ask, everything changes. The very frequency of your being shifts from the vibration of need to the vibration of abundance. You stop broadcasting lack and start broadcasting reception. You cease being someone who hopes for blessings and become someone who naturally attracts them, because you have aligned yourself with the understanding that blessings are not special gifts reserved for the chosen few, but natural expressions of a universe designed for infinite expansion and joy. I am divine light connected to the loving heart of the Most High God. These are not words to be whispered hopefully into the darkness. These are words to be declared with the full force of your being, spoken with the absolute conviction of someone announcing an undeniable truth. This is not a request for connection to the divine. This is a recognition of connection that already exists, has always existed, and can never be severed no matter how far you may have wandered into the illusion of separation. When you declare your divine nature, you are not trying to convince God of your worthiness. You are reminding yourself of your identity. You are awakening from the dream of smallness and stepping into the reality of your infinite nature. You are not asking to become divine light. You are announcing that you remember what you have always been. This shift from asking to declaring activates what I have discovered to be the most powerful force in human consciousness: burning desire coupled with absolute expectation. Burning desire is not wishful thinking. It is not hoping or wanting or longing. Burning desire is the white-hot intensity of knowing, the unshakable conviction that what you are declaring is not only possible but inevitable. Think of a master chef preparing a signature dish. Does the chef hope the meal will turn out well? Does the chef beg the ingredients to cooperate? No. The chef declares through action, through knowledge, through years of experience, and absolute confidence in their ability to create exactly what they envision. The chef expects success because the chef operates from mastery, not hope. When you declare your divine nature, when you announce your connection to infinite intelligence, you are operating from spiritual mastery. You are not hoping God will notice you. You are acknowledging that God lives in you, as you, through you. You are not trying to get divine attention, you are expressing divine intention. I once knew a woman who spent 30 years praying for financial abundance. Every night she would kneel by her bed and ask God to help her pay her bills, to send her money, to rescue her from the endless cycle of lack that defined her existence. For 30 years, she remained poor, struggling, always one crisis away from disaster. Then one day, she learned the difference between asking and declaring. Instead of begging for money, she began declaring her divine inheritance. Instead of listing her lacks, she began announcing her abundance. Instead of asking God to help her, she began declaring her partnership with infinite intelligence. She stopped praying from the energy of poverty and started praying from the energy of prosperity. Within 6 months, her entire financial reality had transformed. Not because God suddenly started caring about her, but because she finally started remembering who she was. The universe responds not to your needs, but to your vibration. It mirrors back to you not what you want, but what you are. When you ask from lack, you receive more experiences of lack. When you declare from abundance, you align with the infinite abundance that is your birthright and natural state. But declaring is more than words. Declaring is a full body, full soul commitment to living as if what you are declaring is already true. It means waking up each morning and moving through your day as someone who is divine light connected to the loving heart of the Most High God. It means making decisions from that understanding, speaking from that authority, acting from that power. When you truly understand that you are not separate from the divine but an expression of it, your entire relationship with prayer transforms. You stop asking for things and start aligning with the natural flow of abundance that is always seeking to express itself through you. You stop begging for miracles and start becoming the miracle that others pray for. This is not spiritual bypassing or positive thinking or wishful fantasy. This is the recognition of spiritual law, as precise and reliable as the law of gravity. When you align with your divine nature and declare from that understanding, you activate forces that have been waiting your entire life for you to remember how to use them. The burning desire that emerges from this recognition is unlike any motivation you have ever experienced. It is not the desperate hunger of someone who lacks, but the confident knowing of someone who has finally remembered their inheritance. It is the difference between a homeless person hoping for shelter and a homeowner approaching their own front door with keys in hand. When you declare your divine nature with burning desire, you create what I call the magnetic field of attraction. Your consciousness becomes a powerful magnet that draws to you not what you need, but what matches your frequency. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. You stop hoping for love and start becoming love. You stop seeking abundance and start expressing abundance. This is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight within every spiritual tradition throughout history. You are not a human being hoping for a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being temporarily having a human experience. When you declare from this understanding, when you pray with the authority of someone who knows their true identity, heaven and earth move to support your declarations. The difference between asking and declaring is the difference between living as an effect and living as a cause. It is the difference between hoping the universe will change its mind about you and knowing that you have the power to change your mind about the universe. It is the difference between begging for transformation and declaring your readiness to embody it. From this moment forward, you have a choice. You can continue approaching the divine with your hat in your hand, hoping for charity. Or you can stand up in the full dignity of your divine nature and declare what is already true. You can keep asking for abundance, or you can start living as abundance. You can continue hoping for miracles, or you can become the miracle the world has been waiting for. The divine light within you is not something you must earn or achieve or pray for. It is something you must remember, declare, and embody. It is not a gift that might be given to you if you are good enough. It is the truth of what you are, have always been, and can never stop being, no matter how deeply you may have forgotten. Declare it, own it, live it. The universe is waiting for you to remember who you are. Number 3, the secret of repeated prayer with living faith. There is a moment that comes to every person who has ever attempted to change their life through spiritual practice. You begin with enthusiasm, speaking your prayers with conviction, feeling the power of your words resonating through your being. But then the days pass, and nothing seems to happen. The same problems persist. The same limitations mock your efforts. The same voice in your head whispers that you are fooling yourself. That spiritual transformation is just another pretty lie told to desperate people by those who profit from their desperation. This is where most people stop. This is where they return to their old patterns of prayer, their familiar habits of limitation, their comfortable resignation to a life of quiet desperation. They mistake the silence of the universe for rejection, the delay in manifestation for denial. They do not understand that they have stumbled upon the most crucial test of spiritual development, the test of living faith. Living faith is not hope. Living faith is not belief. Living faith is not positive thinking wrapped in religious language. Living faith is the unwavering commitment to continue speaking truth even when external evidence suggests that truth is a lie. Living faith is the spiritual equivalent of a farmer who plants seeds in barren ground and continues to water them daily, not because he sees green shoots emerging, but because he knows with absolute certainty that life seeks to express itself through every seed, in every season, under every condition. When you repeat the sacred words daily with living faith, you are not trying to convince the universe to change its mind about you. You are changing your mind about the universe. You are not asking reality to bend to your will. You are aligning your will with the fundamental forces that govern reality. You are not hoping for transformation. You are becoming transformation. Each day that you speak your prayer with authentic emotion, with genuine conviction, with the full engagement of your heart and soul, you create what I have discovered to be the frequency of active faith. This is not a metaphor. This is a spiritual reality, as measurable and predictable as any force in the physical universe. Your consciousness literally begins to vibrate at a frequency that resonates with divine possibility, attracting to you circumstances, people, and opportunities that match that vibration. But this frequency can only be activated through repetition, coupled with emotional authenticity. The mind learns through repetition. The heart learns through emotion. The soul learns through the marriage of both. When you repeat the same powerful words day after day, infusing them each time with genuine feeling, you are programming your entire being to expect miracles not as extraordinary events, but as natural expressions of who you are becoming. Imagine a master violinist practicing a complex piece of music. Does the musician play it once and expect perfection? Does the musician become discouraged when the first attempt sounds rough and unpolished? No. The musician understands that mastery comes through repetition, that each practice session builds upon the last, that what sounds impossible today becomes effortless tomorrow through consistent, dedicated practice. Your daily prayer practice is no different. Each day you are practicing the spiritual art of divine alignment. Each day you are strengthening the muscles of faith. Each day you are becoming more skilled at tuning your consciousness to the frequency of infinite possibility. What feels awkward and uncertain in the beginning becomes natural and powerful through committed repetition. But here is the secret that separates those who experience miraculous transformation from those who simply go through the motions. The practice must remain absolutely private for the first 7 days. This is not a suggestion. This is a spiritual law as immutable as the law of gravity. The moment you share your practice with another person, you break the sacred circuit of energy that you have been building. Sacred silence is not about secrecy for its own sake. Sacred silence is about protecting the delicate process of spiritual conception that occurs when consciousness aligns with divine intention. When a woman conceives a child, she does not announce her pregnancy on the first day. She waits, allowing the new life to establish itself, to grow strong enough to survive in the outer world. Your spiritual practice requires the same protection, the same incubation period, the same sacred space to develop beyond the interference of doubt, skepticism, and well-meaning but misguided advice. During those 7 days of silence, something profound occurs within the structure of your consciousness. The daily repetition begins to create what I call a spiritual magnetic field around your entire being. This field operates according to precise laws, attracting to you experiences, relationships, and opportunities that resonate with the frequency you are broadcasting through your faithful practice. I once knew a man who had struggled with severe financial hardship for over a decade. He had tried every practical solution, every get-rich-quick scheme, every business opportunity that promised easy wealth. Nothing worked. He remained trapped in a cycle of debt, disappointment, and despair that seemed to tighten its grip with each passing year. Then he learned about the power of repeated prayer with living faith. For 7 consecutive days, he spoke the same words of divine abundance, keeping his practice completely secret. He did not tell his wife, his friends, or his family. He simply repeated his declaration daily, infusing it with all the emotion and conviction he could muster. On the 8th day, something extraordinary happened. A former business partner contacted him with an opportunity that seemed to emerge from nowhere. A series of seemingly unrelated events began to align in his favor. Within 3 months, his financial situation had completely transformed, not through luck or coincidence, but through the magnetic power of consistent, faithful practice. The key to his success was not in the specific words he spoke, though the words were important. The key was in his unwavering commitment to the practice, even when external evidence suggested it was not working. The key was in his ability to maintain sacred silence, protecting his developing faith from the doubt and skepticism of others. The key was in his willingness to continue watering seeds that had not yet shown signs of growth. This is what living faith demands of you: the courage to continue declaring truth when circumstances suggest you are deluded, the strength to maintain your practice when others question your sanity, the wisdom to protect your developing spiritual power from those who would unconsciously sabotage it through their own fears and limitations. When you repeat your prayer daily with living faith, you are not just changing your thoughts, you are changing your spiritual DNA. You are not just hoping for better circumstances. You are becoming someone who naturally attracts better circumstances. You are not just asking for transformation, you are embodying the transformed person you are declaring yourself to be. The frequency of active faith that emerges from this practice does not just affect your inner world, it affects everything around you. People begin to respond to you differently. Opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly become available. Doors that were previously locked begin to open of their own accord. This is not magic. This is spiritual law in action. But the law only works when the practice is honored in its entirety. 7 days of sacred silence, daily repetition with authentic emotion, unwavering commitment regardless of external evidence. These are not optional elements that can be modified to suit your convenience. These are precise spiritual technologies that must be followed exactly to produce the intended results. Most people fail not because the practice does not work, but because they cannot maintain the discipline required to activate its power. They share their practice prematurely, diluting its potency. They skip days when they do not feel motivated, breaking the continuity of energy. They repeat the words mechanically without emotional engagement, reducing prayer to mere recitation. But you have the opportunity to be different. You have the chance to honor the practice completely, to protect it jealously, to engage with it fully. You have the possibility of discovering for yourself the extraordinary power that lies dormant within the combination of sacred words, living faith, and committed repetition. The universe is not withholding your good from you. Your good is simply waiting for you to become someone capable of receiving it. The daily practice of repeated prayer with living faith transforms you into that person, slowly, steadily, inevitably. 7 days of sacred silence, daily repetition with living faith, complete protection of the developing spiritual frequency. These are the keys to unlocking the magnetic power of your soul and attracting the divine synchronicities that will transform your life beyond recognition. Your transformation is not a matter of if, but when. And when depends entirely on your willingness to honor the practice that makes transformation inevitable. Number 4, practical instructions and real transformation. Now comes the moment where spiritual theory must become spiritual practice, where beautiful ideas must transform into tangible action, where the power you have been learning about must be activated through precise, deliberate steps. This is where most people stumble. They can listen to hours of motivational content. They can understand the principles intellectually. They can even feel inspired by the possibilities. But when it comes time to actually implement what they have learned, they find excuses, delays, and rationalizations that keep them forever on the edge of transformation without ever stepping into it. You will not be one of those people. You will not let this moment pass without taking action, because you understand that knowledge without application is nothing more than intellectual entertainment. You understand that the universe responds not to what you know, but to what you do with what you know. The first step is deceptively simple, yet profoundly important. You must write your prayer by hand, not on a computer, not on your phone, not on a tablet. With a pen on paper, using the oldest and most intimate form of human communication. There is something sacred that occurs when your hand moves across paper, when your physical body participates in the creation of your spiritual declaration. The act of writing by hand engages parts of your brain that remain dormant when you type, creating neural pathways that connect your conscious intention with your subconscious programming. Choose a single sheet of paper, nothing fancy, nothing elaborate. The power lies not in the material, but in the intention behind its use. At the top of the page, write the exact words that will become your daily declaration. Write slowly, deliberately, with full awareness of what you are creating. This is not just a piece of paper with words on it. This is a spiritual contract between you and the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. Every day for 7 days, you will hold this paper in your hands and speak the words aloud for exactly 36 seconds. Not silently in your mind, but audibly, using your voice to give physical form to your spiritual intention. Your voice carries vibrational power that penetrates both your conscious and subconscious mind, creating resonance between your spoken word and your deep cellular programming. As you speak these words, you must infuse them with authentic emotion. This is not about reciting poetry or performing for an audience. This is about connecting with the deepest truth of who you are and allowing that truth to pour through your voice with passionate conviction. Feel the words as you speak them. Believe them as you declare them. Live them as you voice them. Immediately after speaking your prayer, you will express 3 specific affirmations of gratitude. But here is the crucial element. You must speak them as if what you are grateful for has already been received. Not, "I will be grateful when," or "I hope to be grateful for," but "I am grateful for," expressed in present tense, with the absolute conviction of someone acknowledging gifts that have already been received. This is where faith transforms from hope into knowing. When you express gratitude for what has not yet manifested in your external reality, you are operating from the spiritual understanding that everything exists first in consciousness before it appears in form. You are acknowledging that your prayer has already been answered in the realm of infinite possibility, and you are simply aligning yourself with the timeline of its physical manifestation. After 7 days of this practice, you will perform one final, symbolic act that completes the spiritual circuit you have been building. You will burn the paper, not casually, not carelessly, but with the full awareness that you are performing a sacred ritual of surrender and completion. As the flames consume the physical form of your written prayer, you are releasing your attachment to the how and when of manifestation, trusting completely that the spiritual forces you have activated will bring about your desired reality in the perfect way and perfect timing. The burning of the paper is not just symbolic. It is a declaration that you no longer need the physical reminder because the truth has been written in your consciousness. It is a statement that you no longer need to hold on to your prayer because you have become your prayer. It is an act of ultimate faith that trusts the infinite intelligence to manifest what has been seeded in spiritual soil. But here is where the real transformation begins, and this is where most people fail to complete the process. The 7-day prayer practice is just the foundation. The real work begins in how you live every moment after those 7 days. You must begin to behave as if you have already received what you prayed for. Not sometimes, not when you feel like it, not when circumstances seem encouraging. Always, consistently, without exception. If you prayed for financial abundance, you must stop complaining about money. You must stop checking your bank account with anxiety. You must stop making decisions from fear of lack. You must begin to think, speak, and act like someone who trusts completely in divine provision. This does not mean being reckless or irresponsible. This means operating from confidence rather than fear, from trust rather than anxiety, from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity programming. If you prayed for perfect health, you must stop identifying with symptoms. You must stop speaking about your body as if it were your enemy. You must stop allowing illness to define your identity. You must begin to treat your body with the reverence and expectation of someone who knows that divine life flows through every cell, healing and renewing every system, creating vitality and strength as natural expressions of who you are. If you prayed for love, you must stop believing you are unworthy of love. You must stop expecting rejection. You must stop carrying yourself like someone who has been abandoned by the universe. You must begin to move through the world with the confidence and warmth of someone who knows they are deeply cherished by life itself. This behavioral alignment is not optional. This is not something you can postpone until you see evidence that your prayer is working. This is the evidence that your prayer is working. When you begin to live as the person who has received what they prayed for, You complete the spiritual circuit that allows manifestation to occur. You become a magnet for the very experiences you have been declaring. I once worked with a woman who had been praying for a loving relationship for over 5 years. She had done everything correctly. She had written her prayer by hand. She had spoken it daily with emotion. She had maintained sacred silence. She had burned the paper on the 7th day. But nothing had changed in her romantic life. When I asked her to describe her daily behavior, the problem became immediately clear. Every day she would wake up and check her phone to see if any men had messaged her on dating apps. Every day she would scan her environment for potential partners with the desperate energy of someone who believed love was scarce and she was running out of time. Every day she would go to bed, disappointed that love had not found her yet. Her behavior was completely contradicting her prayer. She was living as someone who lacked love while declaring that she was surrounded by love. I instructed her to completely change her daily behavior. Instead of searching for love, she began to live as if love had already found her. She stopped checking dating apps obsessively. She began to dress and carry herself like a woman who was deeply cherished. She started making decisions from joy rather than loneliness. She began to treat herself with the tenderness and care she wanted to receive from a partner. Within 6 weeks, she met the man who would become her husband. Not because the prayer suddenly started working, but because she finally started living in alignment with what she had been declaring. Her behavior had caught up with her belief, creating the magnetic field necessary for love to find her. This is the secret that separates those who experience miraculous transformation from those who remain forever waiting for their prayers to be answered. Faith without works is dead. Prayer without corresponding action is merely wishful thinking. Spiritual declaration without behavioral alignment is just sophisticated self-deception. The universe does not respond to your words. The universe responds to your vibration. And your vibration is determined not by what you say during 36 seconds of prayer, but by how you live during every moment that follows. When your behavior aligns with your declaration, when your actions match your affirmations, when your daily choices reflect your spiritual understanding, you become an irresistible magnet for the very experiences you have been praying to attract. This is not positive thinking. This is not fake it until you make it. This is the recognition that transformation happens from the inside out, that external change follows internal alignment, that the life you desire is not something you achieve, but something you become. From this moment forward, you have a choice. You can continue living as someone who hopes for change, or you can begin living as someone who is the change. You can keep praying for transformation while behaving like the same old person, or you can start embodying the transformed person while trusting that external reality will catch up with internal truth. The 7-day practice plants the seed. Your aligned behavior waters it daily. Your unwavering faith protects it from the storms of doubt and discouragement. And your commitment to living as the person you prayed to become ensures that what has been seeded in spiritual soil will eventually manifest in physical form. The power is in your hands. The choice is yours. The time is now. What you do with this knowledge will determine whether you join the ranks of those who experience miraculous transformation or remain forever among those who merely talk about it. Live your prayer. Become your declaration. Embody your faith. The universe is waiting for you to show it who you really are. There is a moment when you realize that everything you thought you knew about yourself was just the beginning of a much larger story. You have spent your entire life believing you were separate from the forces that govern the universe, when in truth you have always been one of those forces temporarily forgetting its own power. The prayer you have learned is not just words spoken into the void. It is a key that unlocks the door between who you have been and who you are becoming. Each time you speak those sacred words, each time you declare your divine nature with unwavering conviction, you are not asking for transformation. You are announcing that transformation has already begun. You stand now at the threshold of a new understanding, not just of prayer, but of existence itself. The frequency of active faith that flows through you when you align with this practice does not belong to you. You belong to it. You are not using spiritual power. You are spiritual power expressing itself through the unique vessel of your consciousness, your dreams, your magnificent human experience. Think of a lighthouse standing firm against the storm. its beam cutting through darkness not because it struggles against the night, but because it simply shines its truth without question, without doubt, without the need for external validation. This is what you become when you embody the prayer, when you live as divine light connected to the loving heart of the Most High God. The sacred silence you maintain, the daily practice you honor, the behavioral alignment you demonstrate, these are not techniques you perform. They are expressions of who you are remembering yourself to be. Every moment of every day becomes an opportunity to live your prayer, to embody your declaration, to express the infinite through the finite experience of being human. If you feel called to continue this journey of awakening, to dive deeper into the mysteries of consciousness and manifestation, then subscribe and become part of a community that understands the sacred responsibility of remembering our divine nature while walking in human form. Your transformation ripples outward, touching lives you may never know, changing the world in ways you cannot measure. You are not just healing yourself. You are healing the collective consciousness through your individual awakening. You are not just transforming your life, you are contributing to the transformation of all life. The prayer continues beyond these words, beyond this moment, beyond the boundaries of time and space. It lives now in the frequency of your being, waiting to be expressed through every breath, every choice, every act of love you bring into existence.